All right, for the final time this week, we are ready to take a walk into the world of the papers. Take a look at the big stories, the headlines that have you, have me, have everyone talking. We get analysis, we break it all down, we get your thoughts as well. This is where it all goes down. This is where it all happens. This is Freshly Pressed on the Smooth Breakfast here on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. 31 minutes past 7 a.m. My name is Ayokunmi. I am so pumped to be here with you to walk you through what's been going on across Nigeria. And you know, I never do this alone. Hey, it's never going to be the same if I don't have some very fine gentlemen joining me to take a look at the stories and give their own unique perspective and add a little bit of sauce and all that in between. Talking about AB Bozimo and, of course, Joseph Obari. Good morning to you, AB. Welcome to a Feel Good Friday morning on Freshly Pressed.
Good morning. Good morning, Joseph. Good morning to all of our wonderful listeners. And I think we'll have a couple of zingers in the stories today.
Zingers all the way. Joseph, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, AB. Good morning, listeners. It's nice to be here once again.
Great to have both of you. Always a good time having you on a Friday morning to take a look at the stories. And as AB said, a couple of zingers that we are going to sink our teeth into. And I think we shall begin zinging in the Daily Post, AB. Let's take a look at this one. It has to do with matters concerning, matters concerning security. Now, it says residents of Maradun, that's the hometown of Nigeria's Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawale, are gripped by fear following a chilling threat issued by a notorious bandit leader known as Jumo. According to reports from the community in the local government area of Zamfara State, Jumo has issued a demand for a ransom-like payment of 20 million naira. And if the money isn't paid, he has threatened to launch a violent assault on the town. In an audio message sent to locals, Jumo insisted that his men be allowed free access to local markets and permitted to move their cattle freely across the area without any harassment whatsoever. AB, I'm actually glad they mentioned the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawale, who incidentally is the former governor of Zamfara State. He was there for 2 terms, and this is a bandit leader, as far as I'm concerned, he's a terrorist leader making all these threats. Now, we've spoken so very extensively about areas within Nigeria that are being, should I say, governed by non-state actors. Now, this individual is brazen enough to say, hey, pay me 20 million naira, give me free access to markets, let my cattle roam freely, or else there will be repercussions. Amy.
So we start with a zinger from Zamfara. The part of the story says this terrorist claims that he told the people of the town that he can mobilize support from 100 other terrorist leaders, and together they can take over Maradun anytime they want. That means, for me, that the work of the Nigerian army is done. We have 101 people, including this Jumbo, who should be dead before sundown today. The fact that somebody will actually broadcast an audio message threatening residents and citizens of Nigeria tells me the extent to which this situation has deteriorated. They're not afraid to put their identity, at least their audio identity, out there. This is where all our BVNs and NINs and every N you can think of should go into forensically analyzing the source of this message and tracking and tracing whoever put it out there, and then bringing them to book. I'm sitting in the studio with a lawyer, so I will not say my mind, which is utter termination without legal representation. But hey, let's follow due process. Find them,
indeed.
Punish and prosecute them. And when you prosecuted them, because this is criminal, you are threatening people in the country, claiming that you can take over their place, unless they give you a ransom. This is not a ransom. This is not a ransom-like payment. It is a ransom. You are threatening citizens of the country, and you are threatening what you will do if they don't pay you a ransom. This is criminality beyond the pale. And as far as I'm concerned, these people who he said he can mobilize, 100 other bandit leaders and all of their followers, should not see sundown today. They should be traced, tracked, and terminated. honestly, I don't care how. How do you threaten? And I always say this, we're sitting down in our various remote places from Zamfara, but for a few of us who went to federal colleges, we know people from all of these states and even other people who I've just worked with. We're all one. It could happen in Lagos, it could happen in my village, it could happen anywhere. And that's why we can never let it go unanswered. But the cherry on top of the cake is that this happens to be the hometown. I mean, this is just incidental, as I say, because it could be anybody's town, but it happens to be the hometown of Nigeria's current Minister of State for Defense and two-time ex-governor. Does that not tell you everything you need to know about the man's suitability or otherwise for this exalted office? I just feel that these people, the person who's talking has painted a target on his back or on his forehead.
Right.
And the Nigerian military snipers should not miss. That's all I have to say. Because we now have, listen, we have noticed every person in this location who ends up dying of non-natural causes, the responsibility is directly on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because he's the one person who has the authority to mobilize force to take out these terrorists. So Tinubu has notice and let not one person here die except from natural causes. We will all pass on, but let it not be at the hands of terrorists like this, cowards and terrorists like this.
Cowards and
last of all,
terrorists.
I'm very happy that, just one last word, because it's so important, I'm so happy that the people of that town said absolutely no negotiating with these terrorists. I'm very proud of them. Now, they have taken a stand. Let the country back them up fully to the hilt, protect them and protect everybody in that region. How dare these terrorists?
Joseph, before I come to you, just to put it out there for all our wonderful listeners that to join in the conversation, once again, please do indulge us and do bear with us. The issue surrounding WhatsApp is still pending. We hope to sort that out by the end of today. So we shall do comments on YouTube once again. So join us on the live stream on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Leave your comments there. And you could please endeavor to leave your name alongside the message so I know exactly who is sending that in. It's a very temporary thing. I know we want to get back to WhatsApp, and I also want to get back to WhatsApp, but this is just an avenue for us to still be able to get our thoughts and messages across this morning. So please do indulge us and send those messages in to us on YouTube. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. All right, Joseph, let's continue on the trajectory of security matters. We've talked about what's going on in Zamfara, and it's not a one-off. Across the northern part of the country, we have issues similar to this, where we have non-state actors who are controlling entire communities. And I think this next story that we're going to take in the Punch, it kind of, should I say, gives an idea of the sort of issues that we are dealing with. Now, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has raised the alarm over Nigeria's growing vulnerability to global insecurity, revealing that the country harbors 40% of the over 500 million illegal small arms and light weapons circulating in West Africa. 500 million, goodness gracious. Speaking in Ibadan, Oyo State on Thursday, during a lecture, the CDS warned that these arms, smuggled largely from conflict zones in the Sahel and North Africa, had fueled terrorism, banditry, and ethnic violence, particularly in the northern region. So we know that there's a lot going on on the African continent, especially Western Africa, looking at what's been going on in other countries around us, your Nigers, your Burkina Fasos, your Malis, and so on and so forth, even from Libya and all that. Now, bearing in mind that there's a bustling illegal arms trade going on, and as the CDS has said, Nigeria harbors 40% of that. Isn't this, or shouldn't this have been the avenue, or should I say the eye-opener, to ensure that we protect ourselves territorially, at least, in order for this not to happen? Because the more arms come in, the more arms that these bandits and terrorists have to wreak havoc all across the country.
Yeah, I mean, it's very obvious that there's been a policy gap. We talk, we just talk, we don't follow through anything. It's been more than 10 years since a presidential committee was set up to track light weapons in hands of unauthorized persons in Nigeria. But what has come of it? What's come of it? Arms are pouring into the country. It's not, I don't need to be the chief of defense staff to know that because we are seeing the results every day. The question is, what is being done about it? It's not just come and deliver a brilliant paper and analyze where the problem is and all that and blame issues, and it's not enough. We need solutions. We need solutions. The chief of defense staff, in fairness to him, his paper is brilliant, but it's lacking in, it's not correlated with action, that what is happening in his domain as the chief of defense and government policy and practical results. I know there's no match. That is where the problem lies, and that is worrisome. Yes, worrisome. He said, for example, there are arms pouring into the Sahel from different trouble zones in Africa, and particularly North Africa and other regions. And they are coming into the country. He talks about porous border. He talks about working synergy, the synergy among security agencies. What, I mean, these are things we should do. Why are we talking about it now? Why is it not happening? That's the question. The question is, why are these policy measures that he is proposing, why are they not happening when we are already faced with crisis, security crisis all over? Is in 2025 you're coming to tell me, oh, there are so many arms in Nigeria? We know that already. So what is being done practically? All I hear is futuristic academic paper, which was praised. After he finished delivering, he was praised to have delivered a very brilliant paper. Yeah, so what? What's the result?
Bearing in mind that we've been facing these challenges for quite a while
It's
now.
over a decade we've had this issue. And when it was just starting, that's when they set up that ministerial committee. It's actually a presidential committee. I was still, so I mean, so many years ago. That's almost more than 12 years ago that I knew about this presidential committee activity. But what has been the result? Instead of us having a control over this insecurity, we've got escalation, which means that more arms are pouring in. So it does not help anybody to keep analyzing what the problem is, what the solution should be. We shouldn't be talking about what the solution should be. It should be, these are the steps we are taking to track this, to deal with this. This is how many we have recovered. This is how many people we have arrested. Those are the kind of things we should hear. Not this academic. It's an academic presentation. Brilliant. We are clapping for the chief of defense staff. He said very brilliant things. After that, what next? Ayo, what next?
Mm.
That's the point. What next? We will just be going around in circle like we are chasing our tail, like the dog chasing his tail. That's what we are doing. Another day, somebody will call a summit, they'll spend money, they'll come and discuss, and everybody will analyze what the problem is and then how what the solution should be. What the solution should be. Come on. Chief of
Mm.
Defense starts telling us our border is porous. We've always known that our border is porous. People pour in from Niger, from everywhere, and into this country unrestrained. But what is being done? What practically are we doing to contain all of this? If you want interagency collaboration, why is it not happening? That's what we want to hear. Chief of Defense has to tell us why they cannot work with customs, immigration, DSS, and other armed
And
security
so on and
arms to
so
be
forth.
able
Yes.
to contain all of these issues. Why? That's what we should hear. Not to come and tell me this is what it should be.
AB, looking at this story as well, the CDS also raised concern over the rising influence of disinformation and online radicalization. And he noted that Nigeria faced a couple of hybrid threats beyond the battlefield with platforms, digital platforms, talking about your Facebooks of this world, WhatsApps that are now being weaponized to spread ethnic hatred and to undermine public trust as well. He was advocating a series of policy actions to confront these complex challenges. I mean, is that something that you are fully in agreement with?
Well, what you might find is that a lot of these things that are now being put out on some of these platforms, you can't put out what wasn't already in your heart. And so many of these things are just outward expressions of what many people feel already and what they believe. It's just that it's like when you hear somebody talking, then you happen to come across how they write. You are shocked at their lack of ability to spell. But these platforms tell you the inner thoughts of a lot of people. I also know that those platforms also have the potential to spread good. So it's important to counter some of those things online with positive stories, as we will hear in one of the upcoming stories that we're going to tackle. There's the bad. The bad exists, but the light can minimize the impact of the bad. So it's a multi-pronged approach. Definitely the arms themselves are lethal. The information can lead to radicalization, but we can't rely solely or maybe trying to shut down these platforms just because we're trying to fight. We have to fight it both hearts and minds as well as kinetic means.
All right, thank you.
Regarding that, just to
Right.
add to what Ibi has said, regarding this social media, whatever what's happening on the digital space, there is actually a serious threat targeted at changing mindsets in Nigeria and some other West African countries. There is a propaganda that is being waged by some foreign country through Burkina Faso, and they are actually trying to instigate military takeover of government in as many West African countries as possible. It's a deliberate propaganda that is going on using AI-generated messages that hype the successes of military coups in Burkina Faso and other West African countries, particularly Burkina Faso. A lot of those things are false. They are not based on any facts, but they are pure propaganda machine that has been set up and is targeted at changing the minds of people in the countries, particularly Nigeria. There are actually messages targeted at Nigerians to make them still see the beauty of military takeover. And it's dangerous. But the point is that, just like I said before, what are we doing practically about it? How we countering this negative propaganda? What are we doing about it? It's not enough to come and tell me, oh, this is what is happening. Well, what in practical terms are you doing? Can you also counter these statements that people are making and so on? What is being done in practical terms? In fact, it should be enough for our national security advisor and the military to sit down together to find a communication response to those kind of things.
All right. Digi on YouTube drops a comment. He says some things are beyond the capacity of this present government. The concept of protecting this country internally and externally is just beyond their intelligence scope. And he says ChatGPT can give us solutions even if they did not go to school. Right, Didi. Right. All right, AB, let me come back to you right here. We're stepping into the vanguard, where the coordinating minister for health and social welfare, Professor Ali Pate, on Thursday said that President Bola Tinubu has been channeling the savings from the removal of oil subsidy to the health sector and other critical sectors as well. He said this while commissioning an additional linear accelerator and oncology infrastructure upgrade at the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital in Enugu. Now, he represented the president and was accompanied by counterparts from the Ministry of, the Minister of Finance and Economy, Wale Edu, and Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, said the federal government was making huge investments in the health sector to tackle medical terrorism. I mean, it's a good thing to see, an oncology infrastructure upgrade, good stuff, no doubt about that. But looking at where we are right now when it comes to the health sector, can we say that enough is being invested or put into that sector?
Well, just like you said, off the top, this is a fantastic story to hear because cancers of all sorts are affecting people. And it's great to know that there's additional capacity to at least tackle it to whatever extent we can right here domestic within the country. It's certainly much less of a burden and a challenge to go from any part of Nigeria to Enugu, or in some cases Katsina or Benin, where these facilities exist right now, than to think of going to the normal default India and elsewhere. A pity that this equipment didn't exist for certain former government officials, but let's stay on this story. Now, the issue is this. He's actually making a connection between the savings from subsidy and some of this equipment. And that's a positive piece of information. In fact,
Right.
this kind of information comes out in a story like this and should be more widespread, to be honest. So it's good that it has come out in the news. And this should be part of what a nation, less people know. We have this capacity. Now, this is going to, I mean, they're commissioning it. I imagine it has been tested. I hope it has. Then you also need the support staff because the equipment doesn't run itself. You need the support staff. You need to take care of the staff. And it happened in the story that the minister spoke to doctors who have threatened to go on strike for certain reasons. Equipment is great. I say it again, but you need to have qualified people who are properly taken care of to run that equipment with all their heart, might, and knowledge. So again, top line, this is a fantastic story for healthcare in Nigeria. It needs to be supported by the necessary support infrastructure, and that means power and people. But this at least gives relief for people who have some of these conditions. They can get more access to assistance where they need it. And I do want to celebrate this story. And that is an example of, yes, where, because to me, the top three priorities if you are saving money should be power, healthcare, and electricity. It doesn't mean that other sectors aren't important, but for me, if you take care of those three, you can easily empower the people to now generate wealth in many other sectors. So kudos on this story. And I think this is the kind of thing that one likes to hear, and one will, of course, publicly celebrate and praise. It's what should be done, and I'm glad to see it being done. It's not to say a good thing shouldn't get the praise it deserves, because this money could be used, like I always say, on bulletproof jeeps, but instead they use it on oncology equipment. Kudos.
Yes, indeed, AB. These are the sort of things that we want to hear, and we just hope it's a step in the right direction, and it snowballs into bigger and better things where the health sector is concerned, because we know there are a myriad of issues in our health sector. So, good stuff coming out of here.
In fact, it should be mentioned that this project is not just equipment; it also included a water treatment plant for the hospital, a CT scan machine, other furniture, and other diagnostic equipment. So, it's an upgrade, yes, focused on this oncology equipment, but I'm happy to hear that it was more than just dropping one piece of equipment. They understood that the context wherein this equipment operates needs to be upgraded. That's kudos. I am personally aware of some other federal government intervention in some hospitals for solar energy installation. And so these are the kind of things I am happy to hear and happy to talk about when I hear that the government is doing it. That's at the federal level. What are the state governments doing? Hopefully, I'll have time to touch on state government intervention in the power sector.
All right, thank you for that, AB. Joseph, let us talk about a legal matter, if I can put it that way. Coming out of The Guardian here, where it says, the Federal High Court in Lagos rose from its Thursday ruling slamming 10 million naira damages on the Nigerian police force for breaching the fundamental rights of NSAS protesters. Justice Musa Kakaki accused the police of violating the fundamental rights of the protesters who had gathered at the Lekki toll gate on October 20th, 2024, to commemorate the 4th anniversary of the NSAS demonstrations. And to recall that the State Police Command, Lagos State Police Command, arrested at least 20 demonstrators at Lekki toll gate and detained them in a police van for several hours before releasing them without charge. And they had sought redress for what they described as unlawful arrest and violation of their constitutional rights to freedom of expression and peaceful assembly as well. Joseph, your thoughts on this particular one? Police, once again in the story for, well, not the right reasons.
I'm happy for this development for two reasons. That Nigerians felt they should protect their rights, their fundamental human rights, and they didn't just go and talk about it, but they took action. And the more of these kind of things happen, the better for us. And the Nigerian police has got to understand that they exist to help the people. And it's unfortunate that there is by some design, our police is called police force. So there is a lot of that mentality that they must use excessive force in everything. They don't know how to manage situations without aggression. Yeah, that's a very terrible thing. So the police needs terrible reorientation to understand that they're actually supposed to be a service organization that help people. That's why some police organizations in other countries they call it police service. I think one Nigerian IGP came out and tried to bring in that concept of service into the police, but it couldn't take root because this is entrenched and it has a colonial origin. So our people cannot even see beyond it. And police is militarized. It's been done over the years, and you find that their tactics, their operation, their engagement, interaction with the civil population is ever so forceful. So that's the problem. But I'm glad that this has happened, and I hope that the police will respond and pay the damages or fine that has been imposed on for these people have won in court. Because if the people keep challenging what the police do wrong, then at least it will send a message somewhere. They are
Yes,
struggling
indeed.
with funding and other issues. They should not dissipate the money into things that are avoidable. So
Yes.
I really congratulate those who fought for this, and it's a victory that I think should be celebrated. And other Nigerians should take courage from this to be able to challenge situations where their rights are violated.
All right. Thank you for that, Joseph. It's one thing for the court to award the damages. The next thing is the payment.
Payment.
If and when it's going to happen. Another
After
story.
appeals upon appeals upon appeals and adjournments.
All right, AB. I mean, time has flown by, but I just wanted to touch on this story really quickly, talking about electricity, where this is from the Punch, where the commissioners of energy across 36 states on Wednesday disclosed their readiness to meet with power distributors to negotiate electricity tariffs that are reflective and not burdensome on residents of the states. Now, this follows the recent cut in the electricity tariff for Band A customers from 209 kilowatt hours to 160 by the Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission, and the resistance that greeted the development by both power generation and distribution companies as well. Because of time, AB, just run through this one for us.
A few sentences. First of all, the most important story, a word in this sentence here is we are not negotiating with the states. What they are doing will destroy the market. If they continue like this, the power sector supply will drop again. Are we currently in a power sector that we can be proud of? You see, this was another of the things that was promulgated by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that I applaud. He said states should take over managing the power sector. Now, states can do it individually. Of course, they can do it regionally. But yes, power, I don't expect a president in Aso Rock to ever put on a switch on and off to bring power to my house, in my village, wherever it is. It has to be closer to me, if not at my local government level, at least at my state level. Now, the State Commission of Power are trying to have engagement with the power and discos, and they're saying they won't even talk. I feel that is actually national sabotage. Right now, we don't have a functional system that we can rely on. Clearly, there can be things that can be done better. For you to say you don't want to talk means there is something you are actually hiding, or you're protecting a current failed situation. And I think that is sabotage. So listen, it's a story that has one or two numbers, tariffs here and there, and generation numbers. Go and read it. But let's put it on paper. The president took an initiative that should open up that power sector. Part of the stakeholders in the power sector are the states, the GENCOs, the DISCOs. I don't see any reason why some of those stakeholders should say they are not ready to talk. Right? It's like trying to say there's only one way to make one particular dish. There are many ways to make a dish of fried rice. Some people like this and that inside it. Let's have the conversation to come up at the various state and regional levels with what works best. Some states are ready to subsidize. Others are saying, okay, they're not ready to subsidize, but they want a situation where the power is available, and maybe they will now invest in other things that will make the suppliers of the consumers of the power pay more. But you cannot say you're not ready to talk. I think that that's a dangerous trend. And I hope that inside that law, there are ways to tackle these discos and gencos who, according to them, are not ready to talk. That's offensive to me. And kudos to the president for that law.
So for me, what is most important is that states are beginning to take action. I think for just 9 states already getting involved in their regulation in their states. But they need to go beyond that. I think they should go beyond that to begin to invest in power in one form or the other, partnerships that can help power generation, just like the Abia example is. And those things will break the backbone of these cartels, that
honestly,
so-called discos. They are cartel, and they are being pampered by the federal government for whatever reason. We don't know sinister motive behind such pampering. So let me leave you so that you can take some messages. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much for that, Joseph. Okay, I think I took this from Deji already on YouTube. Once again, apologies for not being able to use the WhatsApp platform. Your fingers crossed on Monday. That is going to be up and running most definitely. And you can fully return to share your thoughts as you always do on Freshly Pressed. And on that note, we need to wrap it up for the final time this week. It has been such a pleasure doing this with you from Monday till Friday. And very big thank you to you, Joseph, and to you, AB, as well, for making it a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful session. AB.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thanks, Joseph. Thanks, Ayo. And the privilege and pleasure are always mine. I love to celebrate positive stories like the citizens taking a stand, the president of the nation putting laws in place that should enhance power, and we can call out those I perceive as saboteurs against such a good law.
All right, Joseph.
Oh, great to have been here, and I'm glad that we've talked this way. And I'm sure that with listeners, unfortunately, they would have been able to contribute, but they couldn't. Wherever they are, I wish them a very wonderful weekend. And safe, guys, everybody, take good care of yourselves.
All righty, you too. Both of you have a great weekend as well. Thank you all once again, and keep you tuned to the Smooth Breakfast. Yes, the fun definitely will kick on. More great music coming your way up until 8:15, where we walk into the world of sports in the locker room.
Wow. Thanks, guys.